All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Phil from PDQ Merchant Enterprises and the ATM Mastermind Group page. And we are going live today. What are we talking about? All right. So today we are talking about know how to help customers if they have problems with your ATMs. Keep your ATMs working well so customers are happy, and use technology to manage your ATM. Little history. My name is Phil from PDQ Merchant Enterprises, a company we started about over 20 years ago. Been in the ATM business for over 24 years. We started putting out ATMs maybe in 99 and 2000. And started growing an ATM business for one to our networks over almost 4,000 ATMs. So we decided maybe about 5 years ago to help 9 to 5 people to transition from having a job from 9 to 5 to getting into ATM business. I was helping other business owners get into ATM business, and we thought, why not help 9 to 5 people transition? We created a course, and we have a company that is solely dedicated to people who want to be in the ATM business. We sell ATMs, we process transactions, we sell parts, and we provide information. Have a service department, and we are nationwide. We go in every state except I don't have any in Hawaii. I don't have any in Alaska. If you are from those regions, I would love to do business with you, because I like to put a pin in the map that says, look, we're in Hawaii, we're in Alaska. But we do the other continental United States. We're looking also to try to get into Puerto Rico in the Virgin Islands, but we haven't had any opportunity to do that just yet. So how it works is I'm going to talk about the topic. If you guys have questions about the topic, or you have questions just about the ATM business in general, how to do it, what to do, what you're doing, how to do anything in ATM business, just put it in the chat, and we're here to help in any way, shape, or form. So with that being said, we're going to jump right in. I'm going to post my email also in the chat in case you want to get a hold of me. Okay. All right. So today's topic is know how to help your customers if they have problems with your ATMs. All right. So one of the things you need is always best to do is you have a service sticker, have a number of your cell phone, or you get a number. We bought an 800 number years ago. It turned out that we had to buy one because we're sponsored by Pueblo Bank and Trust. Shout out to PB&T for our ATM. So we're registered ISO, which means we register with Pueblo Bank and Trust to contract to resell processing for Visa, MasterCard, NICE, Sears, Pulse, and the other 12 banks that I didn't mention. In turn, we need an 800 number. We put that on the ATM. But before we did all that, we had an ATM. We had a service number. We have service stickers. We put them on the ATM, and therefore, if the ATM broke down, that the customer, let's say the store owner, could call us and say, "Hey, Bill, your ATM is broken, doesn't work. Here's what happens." Now, one of the things is we use technology. We have an ATM portal that we utilize. On there, we put every 6 hours it's got to call in. If it doesn't call in, then we get an alert. Hey, it didn't call in. Now we know, usually before a store owner does, hey, it hasn't called in. Now, just recently, like yesterday, we had in a great state of Illinois. I don't know how it is in the rest of the country, but we've had tremendous amount of storms. It literally rains about every other day, which is uncommon for our summer. Usually rains once a week or once every 2 weeks. Sometimes we've went summers where it didn't rain for 4, 5, 6 weeks. And then we got hit in July. Most of the time my grass burns out during the month of June and July. don't have to cut it, which is always nice. And then it comes back in August because we don't have any rain. This year it is rain, like I said, 4 days a week. Now, what does that how does that translate in ATM business? Because we have a bunch of thunderstorms, the power goes out and the networks go down. So it's not uncommon for me to look at get an alert and say, hey, this location is out, that location is out. We have called store owners and say, hey, I noticed the ATM hasn't communicated, and they would say, you know what, our power's out. Or we have one ATM in a beauty supply place that the wall, the electricity on that wall is out. The ATM has been out for over a week now in that store. That's not good for business, but we can see it on our dashboard. The ATM hasn't communicated. We also put on their thresholds that say if the ATM at the vault cash door is open, or the paper is low, or it hasn't communicated, or your cash is low, we get an alert. Therefore, saving a let's call it a fire drill call where, hey, it's 7:00 at night, my ATM doesn't work. Today, we contacted a store owner. We had a bunch of thunderstorms again last night. We have 4 or 5 locations. They weren't communicating. We waited till 10 o'clock to make sure everybody's open, and then it didn't work. We started calling store owners. Hey, and then one store owner says, yeah, my ATM's down. Hey, we tried to reboot it. It wouldn't reboot. Can you unplug it? Yeah, he unplugged it. Then he gives us a screenshot. Hey, this is what's going on. Well, what happened is somebody tried to take out money during the time the power went out. So this is a hard reset. We have to go to the location, clear the errors, shut the ATM on and off, and then it'll work. For whatever reason, we can't do it remotely. We have to go to the location. But we knew this at 10 o'clock in the morning. So therefore, the store owner knew we were on our way. We can solve that issue. But we did it on our time, not, hey, it's 7 o'clock at night, the ATM isn't working. We schedule it during the day, and the store owner knew we were coming. And so it all works out good. But we were proactive. That saves a lot of time. But how do we do that? How were we proactive? Because we have a dashboard that shows us that the ATM is down, and we notice that right away. I highly encourage you, if you're in ATM business, program on your ATMs to call in about every 6 hours. Therefore, you can look at your dashboard. You can see, hey, it hasn't communicated. Not, a lot of times people can't tell the difference between, oh, it communicated or I haven't done a transaction. Just because you haven't done a transaction doesn't mean that the ATM is down. But if it communicates, now you know at least it's communicating. There is a reason. And I look at the transactions. When's the last time I did a transaction? Is that indicative of the location? Hey, we have location. A laundromat does 3-4 transactions every day. I'm looking at the dashboard. I notice, hey, you know what? The location, it is communicating, but it didn't do a transaction. All right. So why? So now we got a guy close to the area. Hey, buzz over there at that location. It's a laundromat. What does that mean? In my terms, laundromats are notorious for little kids. They come to the location. They don't have anything to do. They take pennies. They take toothpicks. They take paper. They shove it in a card reader. Causes the ATM not to do a transaction. So I know that's a possibility. Send one of our guys over there who's close to the area. I noticed that it hasn't done a transaction in 2 or 3 days. Go over there. Yep. He said that's exactly what it was. There's pennies stuck in the thing. Took the card reader out, shook it, did a test transaction, and it worked. Okay, great. Now, if it didn't work, then we have to replace the card reader. But we know what the problem is going into the thing, and we know how to manage that. So what we're doing is we're managing the customers, which is not only are the cardholders our customers, but the store owners are our customers. We're managing the expectations. We're letting them know what the issues are. We're communicating that we see a problem before they see a problem. And then it works out real smooth because they know that we're on top of it. And sometimes I've had store owners that said, hey, I said, well, hey, we go to the location. Why didn't you call? We knew you'd be out here. You guys are always out here before we even call. So we didn't call. But please call anyways. Not every time we see the errors. We see them almost every time. just in case, call if we're not out here. Okay, no problem. I'll do that. We have had store owners who said, we never call anymore because we know you're already out here before we call. So we have to retrain them and say, hey, you know what? Please call if you see an error or a situation. We try to save them. We try to see them before the store owner does. But from time to time, you know what? We do not see it. So make sure that they call. So now we have to retrain because it's so funny because we're so proactive that it worked in reverse. We have to remind the store owners, please call in case there's an error. So we did that. All right. So what are you doing by all this proactive stuff? What you're doing is you're ensuring. I did a video today on why I think the ATM business is the greatest side hustle ever. But in there, what you're doing is one of the two things that I said in the video, two things that'll keep you in business for a long time. It's not rocket science, but it is something. Actually, I did know. Shout out to Mr. Cantus Simmons. Became a friend of mine. He was a rocket scientist, if you can believe it. He worked for NASA. I never met her. You know, everybody says, oh, it's not rocket science. He was a rocket scientist. So that was like really cool when I met him. Became pretty good friends over the years. But anyway, I just threw that out because we always talk about, I always say it's not rocket science, but I actually met a rocket scientist. So it was kind of cool. Anyways, the two things you want to do to stay in the business is make sure your ATMs are always full and make sure the ATMs are working. Those two things are about 99% of the time why you're going to lose the location. The 1% other time you could lose the location is because the store owner changed hands or the store owner closed, and this happened to me once. The store owner's cousin got into the ATM business, and when the contract was up, he went with the cousin. The cousin had one store, that's it. But you know what? It was a good store, and I'm sure the cousin made some money. They kept it in the family, I guess. But those are the way you can stay in business for a long time. And it's a great way that you can know, hey, I'm going to get into a business that's going to be here for a while. A lot of times, you know what, you get into business, it's not your cup of tea because competition is, I also do credit card processing. And the issue with that is it's a fast moving business. The ATM business doesn't move that fast. And it's a good business to get into because it moves slow. So anyways, so you want to keep your ATMs up and running. That keeps your customer happy. It also keeps the customers, which are the card holders, coming back to the ATM business. And this helps out your business. Now, we took over a gas station once, and I went into the gas station and I saw they got under new management, and I went over there and I said to them, hey, it was maybe 5 miles from our office. And I said, hey, you're under new management. Can we get a shot at the ATM? He said, well, I got there's another guy in here, but I didn't say anything. I said, hey, I noticed this ATM's always auto service broke. Give us a chance. He said, well, let me see what this guy does. And then I stopped in there, I got gas because it was right in the neighborhood. Okay. And then I asked the guy, kept asking him. He says, you know what? This ATM is having a problem. Customers are always leaving saying, I call the guy, he can't figure it out, get to this. And he says, okay, fine. Let's go with you. All right, great. Home run. I was excited. I got the ATM. So we didn't change anything. We put the ATM in there. This was in phone lines. We're back in the day in phone lines. We went in there and put an ATM on the phone line. And I noticed that when I plugged the phone back in the day, you could take the ATM, you could they had two jacks. One went the phone line went in, and the second one you could listen on the phone to when somebody died. Well, there was a bunch of noise and static on it. So I knew that was an issue. So I said, you know what? Forget this. Let's trace the line. Well, it wasn't. It was, if you can remember, the old phone line they had flat phone line and they had round phone line. Well, this was the flat phone line. So they daisy chained it and they put splice after splice, and the phone line went behind the counter where the guys take the money for the gas station. And it was plugged into another phone jack. So we we ran brand new wire into the demarc, which what the demarc is the demarc is outside. There's the box outside. So we ran it from, instead of running the phone line from the ATM, we ran it to outside, eliminate all that noise. And then I noticed once we did that, I asked the store owner, I said, how many numbers do you have here? He said, we only have one. I said, well, what happens if somebody picks up the phone when somebody's making the ATM? Well, knock it out. So then we quickly said, you know what? Let's bypass the phone. Let's see what other options. At that time, we were just starting to get into internet. So I asked the store owner, I said, do you have internet here? He said, yeah. So we ran an internet line. We forget that. We ran it back inside to his switch, and we went on the internet. We eliminated the phone, and during that time we were in there probably about a month. I noticed the first month the transactions were here. We switched to the phone. It went. We ran the wire. It went up, and then the next month we went to internet. It went way up. And I asked the guy, "You have any issues?" And he says, "There's somebody. Some jumped on. I just want to say hi to them. So how you doing?" So we noticed that transactions went way up, and then month after month after month after month, they kept going up. It became a great stop. And so that was done. At the end of the day, we were in there for about 4 or 5 years. Then what happened is the station actually closed down for a few years, not a few years, but a few months. I talked to the owner. He says he's going to change the name. It was like a what's a mobile? There's a mobile, and it went to a different station, like a Shell, and a new company came in, and we didn't get the contract. It went with somebody else. He already had ATM guys. So, but we were in there for 4 years, and we learned that whole process. So that's what went on. That was one thing, how you're managing the customer through the thing, and then the last thing we're talking about is using technology to manage your ATMs. All right, say hello. I have a question. See, when I buy my ATM, what's a processor, and where do I get one? And do you guys need do I need a processor? I'm starting an ATM business. So the number one question is, when I buy my ATM, what's a processor, and where do I get one? All right. So what they do is, the terminology is a little different. What they do is they call a processor is somebody who processes transactions. Okay. So you can't usually go to a processor. You have to go to an ISO or an agent who is acting as an ISO. So PDQ is an ISO. We contract with the processors. Processors are Switch Commerce, CDS, First ISO, DNS, and NFX. So these guys are all processors. You can't really go directly. You have to go through an ISO who will help you guide you through the waters of processing transactions. PDQ is a registered ISO, and we can help you process your transactions. We don't charge anything for processing to process your transactions. So I'll put my email here. Let me put my email in the chat again. So there's my email. If you want to send me an email. Okay. So, and what's another one? If I start my ATM, okay. So do you need somebody to process a transaction? Yes, you do. You need somebody to process transactions because you need somebody to connect your ATM to the cardholder. So when the cardholder comes into the ATM, how is that? The ATM reads the card, and then it goes to the networks and verifies that the funds are in the ATM. If the funds are in the bank account, then it will release those funds to the cardholder and give the money. So, okay, so I just followed you. Okay, thank you for that. So you offer so we offer processing service. to people who are looking to get an ATM business. So therefore, what you can do, hold on, my phone is not ringing. So therefore, you have to connect. When you buy an ATM, you have to connect your ATM to the networks. And the way you do that is you contract to somebody like an ISO to get you through the processing of the transaction. Other companies charge for processing. We don't charge for anything. We don't charge for processing. There's a thing called interchange. We contract with the banks, Visa, MasterCard, Nice, Sears, Pulse. We buy the opportunity to rent what they call the debit rails. So we pay Visa, MasterCard a sponsorship every year. And in turn, through paying that, they give us a rebate called interchange. And then we take that rebate. Now, when you get to a certain transactional volume with us, then we share some of that rebate with you. And the rebate comes in the form of a transaction that the bank. So if you go to your bank, every time there's a foreign transaction that is not on one of their ATMs, they have to pay Visa or any of the networks. They have to pay to use your ATM. Once they do that, they pay Visa. Then Visa rebates us some of that money for us to use that ATM. So with us, you keep 100% of your surcharge, and the interchange, we keep the interchange less what we have to pay the networks. And then when you have a certain volume, we share some of that volume with you. All right. So I just grabbed your email. I'll email you when we can't connect and talk. Thank you so much for this. What's interchange? So interchange, interchange is a rebate that is paid by Visa and MasterCard, and it's paid to us, the ISOs, for them using our network. So what happens is, let's say your bank is Chase. So Chase, when you take your debit card and you use it on a non-Chase ATM, what'll happen is Chase is charged by Visa to use that transaction, and then your bank will charge you a foreign transaction fee. They step on it like 3,000%, but let's say they are charged. Let's say they charge 25 cents to Visa, and then Visa will, they charge Chase 25 cents. Then Chase pays them the 25 cents. They take out their portion. They give us the rest. And then what we do is we keep that money as income. And then when you get to a certain transaction volume, we share some of that money with you. Okay. So that's what it's called interchange. So that's what it is. All right. Okay. Got it. All right. Perfect. All right. So, one of the things, the last thing I just want to make sure you guys know is, you're welcome. Thank you for joining, tonight. One thing is, when you're in ATM business, I just want to make sure that you guys know your phone is your best friend, because you can look at your ATMs in real time, anytime. Make sure your ATM is up and running. Is it doing transactions, and how much? We were doing a mobile event this weekend, and we did 2 this weekend, and I was looking at the transaction volume. Now I keep historical data from last year to know, okay, how much money did they go through? How many transactions did they do? Most of the mobiles we do are repeat customers. Sometimes we do new ones. Sometimes we say, you know what, we're not going to do those anymore. But this one was a good event last year. We've been doing it for 10 years, and we have historical data by day, how much money they went through, how many transactions. So we knew how much they were going through. Right after COVID, we had ideas, because they were closed down for about 2 years. So then the next year, it went through the roof because everybody was tired of being locked up. They went out and they went crazy. But we went through a lot of money, so we knew, hey, this is what we did pre-COVID. This is what we do post-COVID. But the money was through the roof, so we were putting more money. Since then, it's back down a little, but not as much as you would think. And we're still doing those people are still taking that money out. So we know, hey, this is based on historical averages. This is how much money we're going to need for the event. to do the event, so you don't get caught on a Saturday with not enough money in ATM. It doesn't run out. But that's how you use technology to better yourself. We also, one of the things, if you're going to do mobile, one of my secrets would be make sure that you put your ATM on calls in every hour so it doesn't delay if you got a transactional, if you got downtime. So, all right. So I hope this is helpful. Again, my name is Phil from PDQ Merchant Enterprises. We have a course that teaches you from A to Z how to be successful in the ATM business. Um, the course also gives you location agreements, vault cash agreements, service agreements, mobile agreements, teaches you everything and anything you want to know, how to get into ATM business, how to be in ATM business. Plus you get access to me in case you get any kind of challenges with the customer or you need some additional help with business and just general, hey, how do I grow my business? So I'll see you guys. We talk every other Monday at 6 Central Time. I just want to say thank you guys very much for watching tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. And I will see you in 2 weeks. As one of my coaches would say, Auntie Val, that's it. That's all. Says the clock on the wall. Good night. Thank you guys very much. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. And I will get you the link. Give me a second here. Hold on. I'll get you the link before I go. Hold on. I will post a link. Okay. There's the link. And all right. Well, that's it. And thank you guys very much. And I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.